Hey, welcome to Foreigner in the Philippines. Good evening. I thought I'd give you a heads up on something that I'm planning to do in the future, and that is I'm actually going to have a new channel, and it will be especially for those people, those with a quirky sense of humor like myself, who would like to hear some short stories. People nowadays, they don't really have has nothing to do with intelligence, and it has nothing to do with well, it has nothing to do with what kind of person they are, but they don't want to spend a huge amount of time reading through a lengthy book, because attention gets taken by other important things like life going on around them, especially if they are parents, and so they end up not doing any reading. That's why audio books have really taken off. Now, we've looked at putting some of my stories on podcast. We've looked at trying to put them on Amazon as something that you can just go to and listen to. So far we haven't succeeded, but a simple way to do it will be to just start another channel which is just purely for being able to go there, leaf through and listen to a story. Now, I've been reading stories by some famous authors, and one of them was James Thurber, and I read The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. And there's so many, this particular book that I was given, there's so many. Look at this. Here's the book. But look at this. There are so many. Am I looking at the right page? Terrific number. Now, James Thurber had a quirky sense of humour like mine, and as I enjoy, perhaps I'm indulging myself, and as I've said before, when people try to advise me on what I should and shouldn't be doing on my channel, as for instance the fact that I say that this channel is a feel-good channel, and I'm not about to give a platform to the haters or the critics or the sniders. I'm not about to do that, and people say, oh well, that's wrong, because you should be able to take criticism, you should be able to do this, and should. And my take on that is that if I stand by what I think is right, in my case it's with my wife Beth, who we are equal partners, and we discuss everything, and what you end up seeing and listening to is by mutual agreement between Beth and I. So that's why I call it our channel rather than my channel. But I do enjoy narrating stories, and for those I've already done a video which was dealing with narration. Narration is a very important skill, and why do we need it? Well, if we get up in front of a group of important people at our work, we are actually narrating. We're narrating a story which we have rehearsed, in which we say, this is the price of the widgets, and this is the angle of the dangle, and that's how we arrived at it, and so on. And depending on how convincingly you can put that, you may or may not establish your position in your company. You may or not establish your position as a father or a mother or an uncle or an aunt who is loved by the children in their lives. When you read a story to a child, you're narrating, so it's important to develop this skill. For me, I find it an enjoyable thing, and I will stand or fall, as I've said to the shoulda, woulda, couldas who try to educate me on what to do. I'm going to stand or fall by that, and if I don't get any views or I don't get any likes or anything like that, well, of course, then I'll just have an empty channel with a lot of stories on it that nobody wants to listen to. Can't believe that nobody wants to listen to James Thurber. But for instance, on my own little things, to give what we'll probably be doing is we will probably be looking at some of the stories that I've had and give a small sample of it. One of my own favourite stories that I've written, which is very much on the dry humour and a little bit on the dark side, is Dying Man and the $4 Coffin. Dying Man would die on Friday. He told Nanai it would be so when he called her in as she was passing the house on her way to the well. He had perfected a dramatic hoarse whisper that ended with a kind of high-pitched grunt since learning he was terminally ill. "I should have died last night," he said, "but I fought so hard I have another few days left." The foreigner was curious and more than a little doubtful. How does he know? The question floated unanswered on a sea of Visayan voices. Dying Man, in an uncharacteristic show of thoughtfulness, had suggested he would only need a coffin made of thin plywood. It would make it easier to carry it down the mountain to the barangay. "Will that be marine ply?" the foreigner wanted to know. "Of course not," he was told, not unkindly. "He's not being buried at sea." There were no volunteers for the carrying job, so someone would have to be paid. Now that's from my short story, Dying Man and the $4 Coffin. Now, of course, you may enjoy short stories. These are something that you don't have to watch my ugly face as I am narrating it. You can put it on and listen to the sound only when you're doing something else. When I was bringing up my son as a single parent, one of the things that we used to love to do in the car was we used to love to have the narrated stories, and we would listen to them over and over and over. Incidentally, for any writer, the idea that someone would read their story over and over is the ultimate compliment for them, that someone would like to play their attention over the way that the author has put the phrases is a huge pleasure. It's a great compliment. So we used to listen a lot to Mark Twain, and Mark Twain, funny, insightful, great characters, just a wonderful writer. And that was when I first began to be interested in narration. And for my son, I felt that it was very important. And if you're a parent and you're watching this now, and you have a child, and you say goodnight to them every night, and then you do the bum's rush through a story, well, maybe you might want to start honing your skills as a narrator. Now, it started for me a long time ago for my children in the UK. Now, they brought the book to me of the Ghostbusters, a simple, not exactly beautiful prose or literature, but they enjoyed that. And after going through it the 10th or 11th or the 12th time, I said, wait a minute, you can read this over and over and over, but I'm going to find some great stories. And from there we read Winnie the Pooh. A.A. Milne, wonderful author, who gave us Winnie the Pooh. And Winnie the Pooh has been found to be a character who can be studied, believed, read over and over because of the depth of some of the things that little bear said. And that was a very touching set of stories. I read Winnie the Pooh to my son Luke until he was way too old to be believing in a talking bear, but the writing is so beautiful, and I made up my mind that Mine would be the last voice that my son heard as he went to sleep, and my voice would be the first he heard when he got up in the morning. And I feel that that was a bonding experience which cannot possibly be repeated. So I'll be bringing in some information about this site that I'm going to do. I'll make some videos which will be up front so that when you go to it there's actually something to listen to, and I'll be doing some excerpts on this channel as well. So thanks for looking in. Thank you for being with us all this year. A wonderful year that it has been. But talking about that is probably another video. Bye for now.